With Act 3 of Episode Hersey being here in Destiny 2, you can now suspend your targets for decades, and once you kill that target, you can now spawn two Tangles every single time. I don't know if that's ever existed in Destiny before, but that's just a little glimpse of what you're about to get from this brand new Strand Hunter build, which people sleep on and they think it's weak, but as you can see, you can literally spawn unlimited Beyblades, as I like to call them, or when you throw a Tangle and you activate Maelstrom over and over again. Strand Hunter is back, and Bungie has clearly wanted this because they are allowing it to happen through the new Act 3 column artifact perks, which we'll be going over. But if you're excited for this build video, please show some love, as you guys always do, by subscribing and liking, and just give me some feedback, because this one is actually one of my favorite. I'm enjoying it so much. It's just been one day, and I mean, its synergies are just absolutely amazing. As you can see, you're literally just double Beyblading your opponents, and yeah, there's no issue with solving any content and completing any content, I should say, whether it would be a lost sector where you think you're about to die, but that just allows you to be more aggressive and literally take out two champions while they're suspended in one go and still have your super remaining. Or if you're just completing a Grandmaster Nightfall, you can just sit back, lay back, suspend your targets, and just continue from there, whether it's solo or with a group. Obviously with the group it'll be a breeze, but yes, the possibility is there to solo the Nightfalls, including the D1 Sunless Cell, which you'll see some footage of in a bit. But just to showcase more and more, there'll be situations like this where I was just LFGing and I was the last guardian standing, but once again I'm still playing aggressive, and with the super you can grapple out, res your team, and get back into the fight like nothing even happened. This build also allows you to do extra 4 times amounts of damage than your normal amount with Strand weapon surge boosts, as you can see, also giving you unraveling rounds, bolt charges if you're playing with teammates, and giving you some insane survivability, like you can see right here in the brand new GM, literally playing super aggressive, or I should say the super is allowing me to literally play super aggressive, no pun intended, but I'm grappling out of there, coming back in and finishing the job and spawning a Tangle, like as you can always tell, every single time. Or in this situation where I should have died and I just got an overshield just to make up for that damage resistance. How am I doing all of this? Maybe we should get into the build now. But before we get right into the specifics of the build, I just want to go over the gameplay loop, which is essentially throwing your shackle grenade and your threaded spike grenade while throwing your Tangle to proc that Beyblade over and over again. Now, like I said, it's pretty simple, it's pretty laid back, and thanks to our artifact mods that we will talk about first, introduced in Act 3, we are able to just dominate with this, and rocket launchers, as you can see right there. Now that is thanks to unstoppable rocket launchers, so we can stun unstoppable champions, and we also have something called Vile Weave, which targets hit by your Tangles are severed, reduce Tangle cooldown by picking one up, and that's why we're able to get Tangle after Tangle and after Tangle, and even sometimes a double Tangle. Now, the reason I'm freely able to just shoot my rocket launcher is because I'm guaranteed ammo, and that's thanks to the third new artifact perk called Perpetual Destruction. Rapid final blows with non-exotic rocket launchers refund ammo and increase reload speed for a short duration. And the best one, in my opinion, that they added in Act 3 is 2 Shreds, which is dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them. Defeating a severed target creates a hotspot of Strand energy, granting woven mail to nearby allies for a short duration. As you've seen, In the previous clip where I was doing the Lost Sector, I popped my super, I got my super pretty fast. I'm just gonna replay here once again. And then after I used it, I still had half of it left to build up and basically go again. And that clip was 1 minute and 30 seconds, meaning that you could actually, if you wanted to, get your super every 3 minutes. The Silk Strike super is the only super option we have for Strand Hunter, which I'm gonna be honest, it's not the best in the game, but is it still effective? Absolutely. I think I'm clearly demonstrating that, so we can definitely go ahead with that. Now moving on to the abilities, fragments, and aspects. First of all, we are using the Gambler's Dodge, and that is to perform a dodge and recharge our melee ability as long as we dodge near enemies. Then your jump is up to you. I just like to use triple jump. Then, as I was saying, we have our threaded spike and shackle grenade in our gameplay loop to constantly suspend and sever our targets. Moving on to our aspects, which once again tie into that suspension and severation. We have Widow Silk, which gives us an additional shackle grenade. Who doesn't want that? That's more chances to suspend champions or just enemies, more opportunities for crowd control, and that's exactly what we want when we're using this build. Then we have my favorite and the most addicting thing in the game right now to me with this build, which is our Whirling Maelstrom, aka Beyblades. And essentially it's very simple. Either destroying a tangle or picking up a tangle and throwing it will create a violent writhing mass of strand fibers. The strand mass seeks out and damages targets, emitting unraveling projectiles when it defeats them. And you're just getting so much in value when it comes to Whirling Maelstrom as an aspect. I mean, it actually can pierce the shields of barrier champions and stun them, which a lot of people don't understand, and that is why this build has literally no ceiling to it, and I absolutely love it. Then moving on to our fragments. So first fragment that we're using is Thread of Ascent. Activating your grenade ability reloads your equipped weapon and grants bonus airborne effectiveness and handling for a short duration. Mainly just using it for the grenade ability and reloading our weapon, I guess. Then we have Thread of Continuity, and this is how we're suspending targets for a decent amount of time, as you're able to see, and severing them, which also has an increased duration. Third, we are using Thread of Generation, where dealing damage generates grenade energy. So we can just once again spam more shackles, because that's essentially the goal here. We want to throw our shackle grenade, kill the enemy, get our tangle, throw the tangle or shoot the tangle, causing our Whirling Maelstrom. Then that will continue to unravel targets, and it will also give us Woven Mail sometimes for using our rocket launcher in effect with that, or whatever the case may be, but you're just going to be getting a lot of added buffs. Then finally we have our Thread of Isolation, where just rapid precision hits emit a severing burst from the target. So we're finding many ways to clearly just apply different status effects, which is annoying. I mean, coming from a PvE perspective, you can think about how annoying it would be for these enemies when you're applying all these effects, and then you have, let's say, a Bolt Charge Titan with you, and then a Warlock with some Bleak Watcher build, and that's exactly what I was going up with in these LFG runs, and we were just absolutely crushing, because status effects and constant status effects just causes for the best source of crowd control. Now, speaking of crowd control, we can talk about how that clearly ties into our loadout that we are using, starting off with the Quicksilver Storm. Quicksilver Storm is an exotic auto rifle, which I love on this build because you tend to do a lot of damage with it. How do you do so much damage with it even after they nerfed it slightly, I believe some time ago, is through our Foe Tracer helmet. Foe Tracer Exotic helmet gives us that Strand weapon boost ×4, as you can see, pretty much ongoing and continuously, giving us that extra 25% weapon damage to both Strand weapons. And yes, we are using two. As you can see, our rocket launcher is Strand as well. How does Foe Tracer work? We're applying status effects and essentially damaging a powerful combatant or guardian with an ability temporarily increases weapon damage of that same type. Defeating that marked target with damage that matches the element creates an elemental pickup. And as simple as that, it's in the gameplay loop. You're gunning and running, you're throwing and pouring, and whipping and lashing. It's basically the best way to describe exactly what the hell is going on. Now, alongside with our exotic auto rifle, like I said, we have that second Strand weapon for complete synergy. That is our crowning dual log rocket launcher. The role that I have is reconstruction and bipod, which allows it to have auto tracking rockets with bipod, and then the weapon reloads itself at an improved rate over time to double capacity, so we can spam those rockets quickly, eliminating whatever the enemy is in front of our eyes. Now, whatever I just mentioned is just what I ideally think is the best case scenario based off my testing and whatnot. However, there's always many options, and this build, which makes me like it just a little bit more than others, is how there are so many options. Many are probably wondering, hey, what about the final warning? And yes, you can absolutely use the final warning because it does a gnarly amount of damage, if I am not mistaken myself here. You know, I wanted to grasp avarice, kind of just looking at the same thing, you know, proccing the same sort of status effects such as unraveling rounds, and final warning is 100% an option that you can use. I just don't want to use it because of the sidearm I'm using. I don't want to rock double sidearm because I believe with the Quicksilver Storm I have a little more range to stay back, but they're both really good options. Now, speaking of the sidearm, we're using the Lotus Eater with Repulsor Brace and Withering Gaze. Now, a lot of these clips, people are probably thinking, oh my god, like you're like barely surviving or whatnot. That's just me playing super aggressive, knowing that I have Withering Gaze. All I have to do is just aim it for a little bit and then shoot a bullet, as you just seen over there, and it would give me an overshield. The playstyle is not for everyone, but if you're playing solo and you just want constant overshields, it's such an easy way to do it. And that paired with Repulsor Brace, which defeating a void debuff target grants an overshield, just allows you to constantly have that assurance that, okay, you know, I can push in here, or I could be a little more aggressive or passive aggressive, whatever the case is. It just makes me feel comfortable. But once again, there are many options here. You can run a fusion rifle, you can run a trace rifle, and I'm gonna completely leave that up to you guys. However, in my preference and my testing as a solo player, this has worked out for me best, as it's able to get me through pretty much every single activity in the game. Now, in terms of stat distribution, you want 100 resilience, obviously, for that survivability, and then you want 100 discipline for shackle grenades, so you can suspend and suspend and suspend as much as possible. After that, it's completely up to you. I like to spec into mobility just so I can dodge, because sometimes it actually helps in PvE, and it also gives me back my melee ability, which is the threaded spike in this case. However, it is completely up to you. There's no need to spec into things like intellect because I showed you guys how fast we're getting it, and thanks to the artifact mods as well in the season and Act 3, it's very easy to get your super, especially Silk Strike. Moving on to our mods. For our helmet, we're using 2 Strand Siphons and Heavy Ammo Finder, just so we can continuously blast that rocket launcher and make the game more fun, because why not? For our gauntlets, we have Grenade Kickstart to turn our armor charge into more shackle grenades by just picking up orbs. Obviously, picking up orbs could be a little more difficult in higher difficulty content such as GMs, so obviously you can change that accordingly. But then we also have impact induction and momentum transfer. For our chest armor, we're using strand reserves just so we can carry more strand. Then we have concussive dampener with solar damage resistance, void, or arc, depending on the activity you're using. Just make sure you use your resistance mods here. Then for our leg armor, we are using recuperation, innervation, and absolution, which essentially is all related to picking up orbs of power and how it would give us energy for our abilities and also some health. And then for our cloak, we're using bomber, outreach, and reaper. Now to take it up a notch, you can actually boost your artifact mods that you have using the Tome of Want, which I don't even have fully unlocked, and that'll only make this build better. You'll get boost to unraveling, you'll get boost to volatile rounds with your Lotus Eater, your void debuffs, you'll get more overshields more often, all these little things. So it's already this good and it could still be better, which is absolutely insane. But anyways guys, that's gonna wrap up the video from here. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Once again, please support me by subscribing. It's literally free. Same with liking. My goal is just to touch 1K subs at some point soon. So I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I hope you have a nice day. Take care and peace.